Today I want to take a look at the Cololight hexagon light panels. Are they just a cheap version of the Nanoleaf panels? We'll compare them a little bit today. They do work with HomeKit, so we'll also discuss that HomeKit integration. And frankly, are they any good? Let's go. Yo, what's going on, guys? Thanks for joining me. My name is Shane if you're new here, and this channel is all about building an easy smart home using Apple's HomeKit with new videos published every Sunday morning. So I have here the Cololight Plus starter kit. It comes in at $99 US. I actually picked mine up when it was on sale, a little bit cheaper. I think I got it for about $80. Now note, this is the Cololight Plus kit, different than the Cololight Pro starter kit. Really the only difference is that the Cololight Plus does support HomeKit and the Pro hexagons do not. Both versions do support the Amazon and Google assistants. So I will put links to everything mentioned down below in case you do decide you want to pick some up for yourself. They are affiliate links. That does help me out. That helps out the channel here and is always much appreciated. I'll also include chapters in this video, as always, in case you want to skip around any certain parts. These are actually pretty impressive at first glance. Each panel features 19 light beads, which are all individually controllable with 16 million color options. They say each bead is controlled by a standalone chip, allowing for maximum lighting options. They are modular, so you can arrange them however you like, and they'll connect to your 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi band. They work great on a desk or a shelf with the included stand, which is how I use them, or you can mount them, to a wall or something like that if you want. They actually sell a wall mounting kit separately, but honestly, if I was gonna mount them on the wall, I'd probably just use some 3M sticky tape on the back of them and just put them directly on there because they're pretty lightweight anyways. It features a single button that can turn them on and off with a long press and switch effects with the quick press, and it'll enter pairing mode if you hold it for I think like 7 seconds or longer. The website actually says there is no limit so far of the number of Cololight panels that one control unit can control, which is surprising and pretty impressive. Inside the box we have this clear plastic base, getting started guide with our HomeKit code on it, and a bunch of these little connectors. This is the controller base that also has our HomeKit code on it. It has that little button, a reset button, and a microphone here on this side. And then we have our light panels. You can see here the size. They are almost exactly the size of my iPhone 12 Pro. Each side is 3 inches wide. And again, I have 7 of these included here in this kit. Here's everything that you'll get inside the starter kit. And here's a real quick comparison of the size next to the Nanoleaf Element hexagon light panels that I have also in my house, just for a little reference. So if you look at the back of the panels, you'll notice one spot where there's like 2 little connectors. This is the one that you'll need to pass the power through from one to another. And all the other little connectors are just to help like hold them in place. So you've got to use the longer connectors here for power, as I'm doing. Install the Cololight app and then choose to add the Cololight Pro. Follow the prompts and then I'll be asked to scan my HomeKit code. Do that. Then choose a room, rename it if you want. Then finish with a few steps here and we're all done. And it's working. As you can see, when I turn the lights off, we can swipe through some of the effects. Now I want to connect the rest of my light panels. Again, you got to use these here to pass the power through from one to another. So I'll line them up kind of how I want, and then I'll start using the connectors to get them all connected up. I'll start with the larger ones to make sure each panel gets power, and then I'll use these smaller little connectors just to reinforce it and make it a little bit more stable. And there we go. They are all working like a charm. Well, they did for a minute until they didn't. So I ended up getting pretty frustrated pretty quick with these because they became unresponsive both in HomeKit and in the Cololight app. I ended up removing them from HomeKit, reset, repaired them. Actually had a hell of a time getting them to work at all again. And I continued to have connection problems off and on, especially when I started messing with the effects a lot and doing a lot of different things with them. They just go unresponsive. And I was starting to think that this was gonna end up being a pretty rough review once I got around to making this video. And then I realized it was all actually my own fault, because I'm a dummy and apparently don't read directions. So what had happened was, this product ships with this little controller that uses, a USB cord for power, which could be a good thing, but they do not include, a USB power adapter in the box. So if you want to plug this directly into a wall outlet like I did, you need to use, your own power supply. Well, me being me, just went and grabbed, the first old iPhone USB wall adapter I saw in my big box of cables and didn't think anything of it. Plugged it in, paired it up, started using it as you saw. I'm pretty sure somewhere in the instructions it says to connect the Cololight with a USB power supply with at least a 2 amp output power. Otherwise, it can lead to problems and crashes. Well, I didn't do that. I had grabbed an old 5-watt, Apple plug with I think 1 amp output, and it wasn't enough, and it led to problems and crashes. So I went ahead and found an old 12-watt USB power supply with a 2.4 amp output, and I can say that since switching to that, I have had 0 connection issues. So at this point, I'm assuming that all the issues that I was having was in fact operator error, and due to the fact that I can't properly read directions. Anyways, it's just something to be aware of. It does make a difference apparently. I wish they included a USB power supply in the box to prevent anyone else from having these issues. You won't have those issues if you read the directions, but I did want to point that out just to make you aware. In the Cololight app, on the right, we have our power button, brightness control. We have this odd little eye shield option, which just sets the brightness at a low level from what I can tell. I guess to protect your eyes, I don't know. But under that, we have our effects. And below that, we have music mode, which we'll come back to all that in a second. Real quick, up here in the options, we can set the distance. So you'll use this to set the maximum distance between all the lights and the controller to make sure the device works best. Sync with HomeKit will sync the current effect that's set with HomeKit. We'll come back to that also in a minute. Timing, where you can set schedules and countdowns. I use HomeKit anyways for all that kind of stuff, so not too worried about that. History, which is a log of everything, and your device settings. And if you are really serious about your RGB lighting, you can actually set a password to prevent others from changing your light setup, if you're so inclined. And back to the main screen, you can swipe up and down to change effects, or again, you can tap that button over here to quickly see all of them. There's also a DIY button here for making your own, so we'll come back to that also in a second. If I swipe right, we'll get just the solid colors. Again, swipe up and down to change them. Not sure what's up with all these really weird color names, but whatever. You can also tap this button here to see all the colors or customize the current color yourself. If we swipe over again, we can toggle between the official lab and our library. In the official lab, you can look at some examples, even get a little video preview, and they give you instructions on where to place the connectors in order to accomplish the given effect. So I really like this. I thought this was pretty cool. You can apply the effect, tap the star to add it to your library, and you can even share it so it's accessible as a scene in HomeKit. It does appear that there is a limit of 3 effects that you can sync to HomeKit when you do this. And you can of course create your own dynamic or static effects. You specify your exact layout and even where you have the connectors placed. From there, you get a bunch of options and you can create dynamic effects frame by frame. I'm telling you, you could spend hours here playing with all this. I've spent probably more time tinkering and just playing around than I cared to admit. And while we're on the topic, if you go back to the effects tab and tap that DIY button that I showed you earlier, you have other options to create effects. You can choose your color schemes, the cycle speed, and the presenting mode. Really fun, again, here just to tinker around with. And lastly, you do have a music mode where you can choose to use the built-in microphone on the device, or your phone's microphone. I actually didn't get it to work very well or at all really with my phone's microphone, but it did work just fine using the mic, on the device. And again, here, tons of options to play with and you can really have some fun. And when you tap the share button, you can save these effects as scenes in HomeKit also. It doesn't seem to give you a limit here, on these music effects like it did in the other section for some reason. But either way, this is really cool. That means you can actually create these music modes and effects and get those working over in HomeKit as scenes. Of course, as with all HomeKit devices, you do need a HomeKit hub like, a HomePod Mini or an Apple TV in order to create automations and control the lights, remotely with your other HomeKit products. You can control all of the panels here together like any colored lights in HomeKit. Not a whole lot to talk about here. This works well just kind of as it should. But then under our scenes, you can see the scenes that we exported over from the Cololight app. And these do work, but they work kind of funny. So I noticed something. The scene does in fact set the saved effect, but it doesn't turn the light on if it's not already on. That means you have to turn the light on and then set the scene. Kind of weird. Additionally, you can turn the light off once you set the scene, but it still appears that the scene is on. It's like the effect and the power state aren't really synced together in the scene somehow. I did find a pretty good fix for this actually for those who kind of want to take it to this next level, just by editing the scene in a good third-party HomeKit app like the controller for HomeKit or Home Plus app. You can actually add the power state to that scene that we exported from the Cololight app. Then when you toggle the scene, it'll actually turn the light on as well. So this works well and much more like I kind of want it to. So with all this said, how do I feel about these things and would I recommend them to you? It's kind of interesting because I really didn't have very high expectations for these, to be honest. But I have to admit that so far I'm pretty happy with them. The quality feels a little bit better than I thought. They're still plastic and probably not super premium, maybe not as much as like the Nanoleaf shapes, but they don't feel super cheap or anything like that. They do feel pretty good, which I was kind of worried about. They're a little thick, definitely thicker than the Nanoleaf stuff, which I don't think matters too much when you're sitting it like on a desk or a shelf, but that might matter a little bit more if you decide to mount these on a wall. Now they are cheaper for you to get started, with a starter pack than the Nanoleaf products, but they are much smaller as I showed earlier. This means that if you're looking for actual coverage, like let's just say on a wall for example, you're actually gonna get more for your money, like per square inch or whatever with the Nanoleaf panels because they're just a lot bigger. But the fact that you can get this starter kit for under $100 is really nice for those who want some cool light panels but maybe not willing to invest almost double for the Nanoleaf stuff. You don't get some of the more advanced features that you'll get with the Nanoleaf panels like touch control, thread support, or the ability to use them as HomeKit buttons, but I actually like the Colo app better than the Nanoleaf app for most things. It's pretty easy to use and understand, even with all the customization options and the ability to make DIY scenes and effects. It's just really easy and fun to use. The HomeKit integration works. I can control the effects in HomeKit, which is important to me, so I'm very happy with that. I've been using this here in my office on one of my shelves, and I really didn't think it would stay there permanently, but after using it, I'm actually kind of digging the way it looks, so I think it's gonna stay for a while. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button for me. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for new HomeKit videos every Sunday. And we've been doing some live streams lately too on the channel, so be sure to look out for more of that. Check out this video right here for more HomeKit smart home stuff, and you can check out my HomeKit 101 Getting Started playlist right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.